And you could hear the numbers, dropping. You could see him falling. I got in the bed with him and I held his hand and I just laid next to him and he waited for me. He waited for me to get there. He's like, I can't wait till 12, big head. We're at the part where I have filed for divorce and I'm ready to move to the next step. I don't know what that is. We're going to talk about one reason that separates you from your desired outcome, the ending that you want, and that is being brave. What do you do when you don't know what to do? There's something you need to do to get to your desired outcome, but you truly don't know what to do. You don't know what steps to take. You know that that's where you're supposed to be. That's what you're supposed to do. Some will say, I don't know if it's the will of God for me. Some will say, I don't know if that's my purpose. I don't know if I'm aligned to that. I don't know if that's what I'm supposed to do. If you're not a faith person or believer or some type of religion, you're just like, I don't know what to do. So here's what I figured out in life, and maybe it'll help you. Being brave doesn't mean you have to do something life-threatening. I didn't do something life-threatening to prove that I was brave, but I did do something life-changing to prove that I was brave. Take a step in that direction and see if you get support. I'm about to break down step by step what it took for me to get out of a marriage that I was not supposed to be in, and what it took for me to get there was being brave. Now you look at my videos, she's confident, she's this, she's that. Back then, 2008, 2009, 2010, I was not. I was a shrivelly person. I was afraid, insecure. I did not know how to use my words, even as an adult, sheltered from the country. We didn't have a phone. We didn't have cable. We played outside. Okay, so I didn't know what was going on out there in the world. And put Christianity and religion on top of that. And that's all we did. We went to church 60 times a week. That's all I knew, right? So when it was time to me to face life situations, I didn't know how to do that. I didn't know how to handle that. So picture this, 7-year marriage. The last year of the marriage, I decided this is not where I'm supposed to be. And I just didn't wake up one day and decide that. I just looked at my life that 7th year and I was just tired. I was exhausted. In that January, I decided this is the last year. If nothing changes, I'm out of here. You insert your I don't know what to do. I'm just using the divorce because that was the bravest thing I've ever had to do in my life. And you'll see why. Look at who I was, and I'm having to face my family, tradition, culture, and religion, religious leaders. And I did it all by myself. So put your situation in there. I don't know what to do about this situation. I don't know what to do about that. Okay, you got it? You got it? Here we go. So the first thing was that November, I had a conversation with someone and she told me a statement. I wrote about this in my book, that one. So I'm just going to give you the short version. She said something to me and it made me drop to my knees and I realized I wasn't supposed to be there. So from that November, I knew I'm not supposed to be here. I'm leaving. But I don't have a job other than an in-home daycare. We're in ministry. I didn't have any money to do all this on my own. So I needed support. The only way that I knew that this was the right thing to do was for God, Spirit, the universe to support me. I had to take a step, and that's what I was willing to do. The first thing I did was I decided. I said, okay, this is what I'm going to do. No money, no nothing, right? And I told no one. I really want you to get this. Like, I was super shy and super introverted. These videos are nothing like the 2008, 2009 version of me. Nothing like. The only time I had boldness like this was when I was on stage and I was leading praise and worship and I'm in my element. Other than that, I didn't even like to talk. You know how those praise and worship leaders are always, lift your hands. And, I didn't do that. I even told those leaders, I'm like, I don't talk. All I'm going to do is sing. That's it. I just sing and play. I want you to get an idea of who we're talking about when I make the decisions that I made. Super, super shy. I don't even like the word shy. I was fearful. Let's get real about it. I was afraid, not shy. I was fearful and timid, period. So I said, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And I'm not telling anybody. This is how serious I was because I had been controlled all my life. I said, this is what I'm going to do. I'm not telling anybody. The only one I'm going to tell is God himself. And I'm not going to ask him. I'm going to say, I'm getting a divorce. I'm leaving. And if this is what I'm supposed to do, you'll give me the peace to do it and you'll let me raise my kids. That's all I ask. I don't have to get on stage again. I don't have to perform. I don't have to do anything else. And at that point, I decided, and if it was what I was supposed to do, I was going to get the support that I needed. I'm in my house and I said, okay, I'm going to do this. I get online and I find out how much does it cost to file for a divorce. It's $250. I didn't have $250. I was a daycare owner in my home. Like I had kids that come there and I didn't make a lot of money, but I was in home and I had 4 kids in the morning and then some more kids were added for the after schoolers. Not much money. So I said, okay, And I sat there and I just prayed. And I'm like, okay, where can I get $250? A church called me the same week. They called me that Thursday, and everything is documented. It's in my book, and I could tag people, I could tag churches, I can tag everybody in these stories. They called me that Thursday and they said, hey, this Sunday, I know it's last minute, but we want you to come and play for our 3:00 service. It was a Baptist church in Katy, Texas. They said, come play for us for our 3:00 service, but all we can pay you is $250. Baby, I was like, okay, what's the song list? Okay, what? You may think she got excited. She started shouting and screaming and calling everybody. No, I immediately became even more afraid because this is happening. Nobody knows I need $250 but me and God, right? And so I started shaking as I was on the phone. They told me the songs they wanted me to play. And I had played for this church before, but being married, I got to go where he tells me to go. You can't play for them. You got to go play for them because they're going to play more money, kind of like pimping me out, but whatever. So I said, okay, I'll come back and I'll play this Sunday. I got the money and I came home and I was like, okay, what's next? And I want you to see that is support. That's what I mean. This is how you know, right? So I went to the computer and I printed the paperwork. I filled it out. Didn't even know what I was doing. I filled it out. And I had the paper and the money. And I said, how am I going to go file this? They're only open through the day. I have an in-home daycare, so I couldn't just call off work. I had to find a way for all my parents to find somewhere to have their children. I didn't know how long it was going to take, yada, yada. After I decided, I went and talked to one person. It was my aunt. And it was the day before Christmas Eve. We were all at my mom's house celebrating Christmas. And she was the queen Christian. She was like the Christian. At that time, I was heavily into Christianity. The reason why this was a hard decision, because it was drilled in you, God hates divorce. What God joins together, let no man put asunder, even though we joined ourselves and God had nothing to do with it. They tell you that, it's a sin. You'll be an adulteress for the rest of your life if you do that and try to get remarried. It was just so many different things. And I was just scared. You're going to go to hell, pretty much, But I went to her and I knew deep down I needed to do this. Scary little old Dorian. And that's just the truth. I was just a little old Dorian, just a little old scary girl. And I went to her and I figured if she approves it, I'm good to go, because she was the master Christian. I mean, working for Joyce Meyer and all that kind of stuff, right? So I said, okay. I told her, I said, this is what I want to do. I talk about it in the book. This is what I want to do. Should I do this? Is this the right thing? Is God going to hate me? Is this that? But do you see what kind of person I'm talking about? I couldn't even make decisions for myself. I couldn't even just decide for myself. I had to listen to what somebody else was saying, but this was ordained to happen. So she says to me, Dorian, if that's what you feel on the inside of you, don't worry about what people say. And she just gave me that speech, right? So I said, okay, I'm going to do this. So that next day, I think it was the day before Christmas Eve, or actually Christmas Eve. I just know it was one of those days. I just remember. And I said, okay, what am I going to tell my parents? I do not use the word I swear to God. I don't use that, but if I could, I would insert it right there. That morning when I decided I was going to go, every single one of my parents, I had 4 a.m, called me separately, and they don't even know each other. And they said, we're going to be running a little late. Each one had their own different story. And it was raining. Each one had their own story that why they were going to be late. I'm like, oh my God, I almost want to cry right now. And I'm just shaking even on the inside, because I started shaking in that moment again, like, this is happening. Support, right? This is happening. And nobody knows I'm doing this. Nobody knows. He's at work. And I'm like, okay, this is happening. They all call separately. So I'm like, I got to get in the car. I got to get my kids. At that time, even though I had 4 coming, I still had my 2 kids that were still at home with me. And so I was like, okay, that's how young they were. I was like, okay. So I'm like, okay, so we're going to get in the car. And then I'm thinking, I-10, there's going to be so much traffic. And anybody who knows my hometown, I-10 is diabolical when it comes to traffic. It's like, I loathe it. I think it's a sin. It's just wrong. The whole I-10 going downtown. Number one, scary, fearful me back then did not drive on freeways, didn't drive on highways, didn't drive past Beltway 8, which is a very busy, area in my hometown. I didn't drive downtown. I tried one time and I was driving down the wrong direction. So I never did it again. And here I was 28, 29 years old and never drove like that, sheltered. So I'm like, how am I going to get downtown when I saw the address? So I said, oh my God, it's going to be so much traffic. We get on the freeway. How come it's only 3 cars? I promise you it's the truth. And this is at 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. So we're driving down there. I'm shaking the whole time. And then it's raining, right? And I'm like, okay, what if I end up on the wrong side of the street? What if I can't find the parking? I had never done any of that by myself, right? What if I can't find the parking? What if I can't find the building? It's downtown. There's so many buildings, so many parking spaces, whatever. I get down there and I drive right into the right spot. And I'm like, oh my God, my kids have never really played in the rain. You know, black people, we're like, get out the rain, get in the house. And so I'm like, oh my God, it's raining. How am I gonna get my kids across the street from the parking garage to that big old building? They're just playing and laughing and just having a good old time in the rain. And I'm shaking. I have my paperwork. I got my money in my bag. I had the money, the right amount of money for cash for the parking. And I'm just shaking. I'm telling you, just fearful the whole way. But guess what? I was doing it. I was doing it. I still did it. You heard that, do it afraid. I did it. And so I got into the building, and then as I was taking each step, the support was there. The support, even the freeway, that's support. I'm gonna get you there because I know you got to get back to take care of your kids, right? And each time, each step, I was saying a thought in my mind, what if this happened? What about this? And every time there was support. So I'm like, oh my God, what if there's a long line? This is downtown. This is, I get in there. I guess I was the only one filing for divorce that day. I kid you not. So I'm shaking again. Support, right? The lobby is empty. I walk up to the window with my paperwork, right? I walk up there and I'm laughing right now, but it was no laughter then. I was terrified. I'm telling you, literally terrified. If I could just channel that energy right now, I was just terrified. So I'm standing at the window and I'm shaking and I hand it to her. And I was like, is this the place where you filed for divorce? And she said, yes, it is. She was one of those. Yes, you got your paperwork. I just remember, it was just clear. I remember it. And I gave it to her, right? And she's looking through it. Everything is right. And she literally says to me, are you okay? I said, I'm okay. I'm fine. And then she stamped it. And I remember that. It's, one of those triggering things where you just hear a certain noise all the time. And I just remember she stamped it and it said filed. And just something just came over me like a peace, like I did this. Little old Doran did this. I drove downtown by myself, brave, right? So I get the kids in the car, and now I'm in the car trying to hustle. I don't even remember if I even had a cell phone at that time. I'm thinking when I get home, those parents are going to be sitting in my driveway waiting for me. But that wasn't the case. I drive up, nobody's in the driveway. The rain had cleared up, traffic going back that way. There was no traffic at all. So when I get home, there's nobody in the driveway. I walk in and I'm like, okay, this is happening. It's done. And they started calling one by one. Hey, we're on our way. I hope you haven't started class or your lessons yet. One by one, one by one, one by one. And then another one. I needed to wait for the rain to clear up. Girl, I don't drive in the rain. They were dropping their kids off one by one. That is support. That's how you know if this is what you're supposed to do. That's how you know that you're going to be supported and it's going to be okay when you go through it and when you get through the other side. If you don't know what to do, take a step in that direction. Take a step in that specific direction. Just one. And don't take the basic steps and then it doesn't work out. Oh, I guess I'm not supported. For example, I could have said, okay, well, let me just call my mom and see if she has $250. Let me call this person. And if they would have said, no, I don't have it, then you assume then I must not be supported. No, I waited. I sat and I waited. And the step and the support came to me. You may be guided to do something or say something, but don't just assume it's the basic, let me go get a loan and they deny me. That means I'm not supported. No, wait for divine support. Wait for it to happen to where that's a divine thing. This is support. Because you may not need to call family or friends or ask them for anything because they should know about it. You may not need to tell them because they will talk you out of it, or they may start putting energy and bad vibes and juju on your stuff, and have you questioning your decision. So that's why I say wait for divine support. Wait for it to come through like, I know that was you. Because I had stopped working for that church. That was the starting point when I needed that $250 and then it just came through, right? And so the next video, I'm going to talk about how I had to get the lawyer and the support for that, how I ended up getting fired. It was just so much, okay? Part 2 is coming.